So welcome to the first noon Zoom, and thanks for joining. So whether you were enticed to come with an extra credit assignment or you are just wanting to learn more, we are excited to talk with you. I do teach on Zoom 3 times a week. And one of the things I always ask my students is to show their faces if you're able. So just like if you were to come to a workshop in person, I would not be talking to a black box, I'd be talking to a beautiful face. So if you're at all able, I would love to see who I'm speaking to and to connect with you a little bit more. The pandemic is isolating enough, so we don't want to feel any more isolated than we already do. So go ahead and turn on your screens if you're able, join us, interact, and look around a little bit. These are all individuals who are right here at FGC with you currently, and it's always good to see another friendly face. So as Mary said, my name is Justin Fitzgerald, and I get to serve as the director of the Office for Service Learning and Civic Engagement. I'm going to share my screen here. Always does something a little wonky at first, so bear with me. And all right. And Rose, let me know if anything looks off, but I think we're good. All right, so we are, as I introduced myself, director here of the Office for Service Learning and Civic Engagement. I wanted to show you the team that's here with me because over the time that you're at FGCU, you are probably going to interact with our office, and I'll tell you a couple of reasons why you will probably interact with our office before graduation as we go here. But my team is pictured up here. Lisa, Shallon, and Jesse, we are all here to help. Reach out as you need us. We're on the 2nd floor of McTarnigan Hall. And one of the things we're going to be talking about today is something that our team is passionate about. It's helping service learning and your service learning experience at FGCU connect to the things that you're passionate about and connect to your future career. So one of the things I want to start off with is just a simple question. If you put it in the chat box for me, how many hours of volunteer time have you completed so far? This doesn't have to be at FGCU. This is just kind of in life. How many hours of volunteer time? So open your chat box and go ahead and just put some numbers in there. And Rose, if you're able, can you read off some of the chat, because on
Absolutely.
My double screen I can't see.
Right, so we've got 110, 45, 57, 180, 300 plus, 85, 300 plus, 100 pre-FGCU, 150, a couple of hundred in high school, 25 at FGCU, over 50, 136, 50 plus,
Excellent.
20, 120.
Excellent. Well, one of the numbers I have not heard in there is 0. And so that's great. So either you're not bold enough to actually type in 0, or there's no one here that has not done any service in the community so far. So that's a great first question to help us see who's all here. Our next question, and again, put this in the chat box. What's your favorite organization to volunteer with? So this can either be a type of organization, like a humane society, or a specific organization.
Camp Kesem. Gulf Coast Humane Society. Anything with animals. Recreational sports departments. Relay for Life, NCH, Harry Chapin, Next Gen Voting, Lovers Key State Park, Assisted Living, Church. Senior Friendships, Next Gen America, Feeding America, Girl Scouts, Environmental.
Excellent.
Wheels on Wheels.
Okay. So
Mentor.
I hear a lot of different interests there. And one of the things that we'll talk about is how service learning can help you take your interests and turn it into a career and figure out career paths that come out of your interests, or help you feed interests that your career path might not otherwise help you touch on. So, you know, maybe you're going to be an accountant, but you're also super passionate about animals. You may not think that those two go together, but you may find through your service learning experiences that you can put those two together. So we'll talk a little bit about that here in just a couple minutes. And then last question here before we dive into what service learning is why do you serve? So in those moments, you all put down some really big hour numbers. Why did you do those? And it's okay to say, I was required to. That's okay. So go ahead and put in the chat, why did you serve, or why do you currently serve?
I love to help when I can. I like to help others. I like to help the community for experience and develop skills, to meet new people, feel rewarding, give back to the community, help others, learn new perspectives, be active. It feels good to learn more about my interests. I enjoy helping minorities.
Excellent, excellent. So again, those are all really great reasons. I love the couple answers that talked about building those skill sets. I don't think a lot of people initially think about service and service learning as a way to build those skill sets, but we will definitely hammer that home today during our short time together. That is a perfect chance for you to build the skill sets that employers are looking for, but you might not have yet, or you might not have experiences that you can speak about in an interview. And so service learning is a great place for that. So what is service learning? There is a reason that hyphen is there. It marries service with learning. So the concept of service learning is not to just go out and volunteer blindly, but to have intent behind the service that you're doing. Intent for the community, so connecting your passions and things to it, but also intent for you. What is it that you want to learn, and what is it that you need to learn? So this is where things maybe differ a little bit from, many of you may have come from high school experiences where in high school, either the high school itself had a requirement, or Bright Futures, or different reasons that you may have done service in the past. Service learning, and that's what FGCU requires and lives by, is service learning, not just service, but service learning, is that connection of what are you learning course content. So what are you learning in your courses? What are you learning in life? And how do you marry that to what you're doing in the community? So whenever you're in a class maybe, or out on campus and there's a student organization that's doing service, it's about how does that come together for further development and further learning. We work with a lot of first year students as they get accustomed to FGCU and the service learning process. And they say sometimes, I did this in high school. And we really try to help them understand it's different at FGCU, it's different in college, that it should be connecting to your future career and your future path. And if you don't know what that is, let's use service learning to figure that out. So as we kind of look forward, I always ask the question of what is your goal and what's your why? So if you're not sure, some students say to us, I'm just not sure, A, what I want to do with my life. I'm not sure really what I'm passionate about. There's so many things happening in the world, and I kind of, either I have too many passions, or I'm really not passionate about any of them. Think about where you're at in that process, and service learning can meet you there. So if you are of the mindset that you have too many passions, I had a student in my class yesterday who said, I'm passionate about all these things, and listed like 10 to 12 different things. Service learning can help narrow some of that down. But as you start to get some of those hours under your belt and you dive in, you can say, okay, I'm going to go do some service with the Humane Society. I'm going to see what it might look like to work at a Humane Society and get to know the employees there. And then, I'm also really interested in medical things and medical environments. And so go and volunteer at the local hospitals or clinics, and you can get a feel for what does it feel like to have to go there every day as your job. So really think about what your goal is and what your why is. I put goal up there as well because for some people, they're very open about why they're coming to college. It's to make money. They want to make money. I've had students literally even this week tell me, my goal is to get a good job that I can make a lot of money. Okay, if that's your goal, we can also use service learning to help flesh that out and figure out, service learning it is service, at FGCU, service learning is defined as service with a nonprofit or a government agency, but the skill sets and the environments in which you're able to explore during your service experiences are really going to be able to help you go in any direction, whether you want to work with a nonprofit or you want to work with a for-profit. Whatever you want to do, those skill sets that you get during that experience are really going to help. I always like to be very clear about the graduation requirement. and make sure that people understand that there is a requirement. And so you can kind of see that up on the screen, the first time in college, that's FTIC. So if you're a first time in college student or a lower level transfer, you are required to do 80 service learning hours. If you're an upper level transfer, you are required to do half of that, the 40 service learning hours. And if you're ever unsure of what your specific requirement is, you can always see it at the top of your degree works. So just log into FGCU degree works so you can see what the requirement is and how many hours you currently have out of that requirement completed. One of the things I'll mention deeper here in a minute is how you track those hours and how you make sure that any service that you do does translate or does contribute toward that requirement. So I like to be clear about it because it is a requirement, but there's a reason for the requirement. It's always asking the why. Why does FGCU have this requirement? It's because we believe really deeply, and we've seen years and years and years and years of evidence to show that students who engage in service learning get the experiences that employers are looking for. They get better jobs because they have the experiences, they get jobs faster because they have those experiences on their resume, and they're able to speak about it in an interview. So when the day comes, for some of you, you may be juniors or seniors, and that day is not really that far off, but when the day comes and an employer is sitting, a potential employer is sitting in front of you and they say, tell me about a time that you had something challenging happen and you had to overcome that challenge. Well, the experiences you're going to gain while you're doing service learning are going to give you real examples. So you're going to be able to say, I once was setting up a service learning project in my class, and a pandemic happened during the middle of our project. And we had to immediately pivot, and here's how we were still able to make it successful. That shows the employer that you don't just have this head knowledge about how to pivot well and how to plan differently and how to be flexible with your plans and still accomplish objectives, but it tells them that you actually have done it. You've lived it out and that you really can, and it makes them want to hire you over somebody who might not have the experience. They can, speak theoretically about it, but they might not have the real experience that you'll have coming out. And so that's one of the reasons that FGCU has the requirement. Another reason is the belief that we are connected to our community and we are connected to Southwest Florida. And so by being here at FGCU, you are immediately a part of the FGCU community, but you're also a part of the Southwest Florida community, and really beginning to understand what it means to be a citizen in our communities. So I want to just kind of reiterate these 3 points. I won't go into them too much deeper, but as you dive into service learning, you get to explore these 3 points of passion. What are you passionate about? So you either get to figure that out, or if you already know that, you get to live into that. It can help your major, help your decision around what your major is. We've certainly all, on the staff side, we've all worked with students before who they think they really want to be a teacher, an elementary school teacher. It'd be so fun to work with kids all day. And then they get to volunteer in the classroom and they do some service hours with the school district, and they start to see what the teacher's life looks like on a daily basis, and they get to know the teachers, and it either confirms it or it really denies it. And they quickly realize, okay, I might love education, but maybe I don't want that daily life. So major, it really helps with decisions around majors. And then career readiness skills. And so there is a list of 8 specific skills that employers, these are kind of the top 8 skills that employers have told colleges and universities across the country that, hey, as you are graduating your students and as they are leaving you, make sure they have these skill sets before they come to us for our companies. And those are skill sets that are pretty much in almost every service learning experience. You're going to get skill sets such as communication skills and critical thinking and diversity education. And so those are skill sets that, again, you're going to have real tangible examples when you get done with your service learning experiences that you can talk about. I always like to point out to students that when you graduate with your degree, hundreds of thousands of other people across the country are also graduating with your degree. And so you need these experiences, these tangible things to put on your resume and to speak about during interviews that put you above the other people who are graduating with your same degree and looking for very similar jobs across the country. We talk in our office about not just doing service learning well, but doing service learning in a way that grows you through a series of stages. And so I'll just hit on this briefly to help you understand again that service learning at FGCU and service learning at the collegiate level is different. You get to go deeper with it. And so, yes, it's going to help you get those skill sets that I was just talking about. It's going to help prepare you for future employment, unlike other schools. But it also allows you to go deeper into what it means to be a citizen in your community. And one of our goals in higher education across the board is to develop students who, by the time they graduate, they are prepared or on their way to being prepared to being an active citizen, to being someone who understands that you don't live in a bubble. None of us live in an isolated bubble, as hard as we may try at different times. You are always connected to others. And so the volunteering activity is really just the second stage of this continuum that you see up here, the active citizen continuum. That third stage is all about going deeper. So if you say, I really care about animals, and every Saturday I go to the Humane Society, that third stage, that conscientious citizen stage, is starting to ask questions of, well, why are there so many animals that are homeless or that have illnesses, or why do we need humane societies at all? Why can't animals just roam free? Or, you really start to dive into and learn about the root causes. And then that active citizen stage is an opportunity for you to develop solutions around those root causes. So what's a solution that would actually keep animals from needing a humane society at all? How do we address the root of the issue instead of just putting a Band-Aid on the issue? So when you think about whatever your issue is, maybe take just a second and think, okay, for me, it's water issues. Like, I really care about water quality or rising water levels, or whatever it is for you. Then you can think about where you might be in here. Are you someone who volunteers every week and you're doing great in that stage? Maybe it's time for you to go a little deeper with it and learn about the root issues. And then as that happens, are there solutions that you might want to put into place? So I wanted to plug that. It's a continuum that we have really developed our entire office around now. So we offer things in each of these stages. So if you ever get to a point that you want assistance implementing a root level solution, you have this great idea in your head and you're like, I think that if society just did this differently, or if this one habit changed for everybody, that life would be better and the world would be better. Come talk to us. We have programs, we have resources, we have a lot to be able to help you implement those changes that you think need made in the world. I want to show a quick video that demonstrates the connection between service learning and your career path. You'll see in this video one of our students, Ricky Castle, who did exactly that. And so hopefully this plays. And again, let me know if the sound doesn't come through.
My name is Ricky Castle. I graduated from Florida Gulf Coast University in 2018 with a degree in biology. The Talking Monkeys Project is a sanctuary where neglected and/or abused animals come to live out the rest of their days. We've got several different species of primates: white-handed largibbon, capuchin monkeys, squirrel monkeys, and spider monkeys. A lot of them have come from either pet owners that didn't know how to take care of them, or from breeding or research facilities. If this wasn't here, there would be nowhere else for these guys to go. As a biology major with a concentration in organismal and ecological studies, this was the perfect place actually for me to volunteer to get my service learning hours at FGCU. Service learning is getting out into the community and putting everything that you're learning in the classroom into practice out here, but also gaining different experiences, which is why they also call it experiential learning. It's making a difference in the world. It's coming out to places like this that need some help, that need volunteers. We extended the travel chute for Kiko, which is right behind us. We also built up an enclosure for incoming primates. When I come here, I learn something new every day. So, there's all the knowledge that you learn in the textbook, but then there's actually getting out in the field or getting out to a sanctuary and learning, from the experts. Every day when we go out feeding the primates, Dr. Deb will come with us and she always, throws in her little educational piece for the day. So I'm always learning new facts about the different monkeys and the different apes that we have here. And I'm also learning about them individually. So for animal behavior, this is great. All employers are looking for experience, and it's really hard to get an experience while you're also taking a whole bunch of classes, getting your undergraduate degree. What you really have to do is volunteer. I currently have a job with the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission, and I was able to get this job because of some of the experiences that I have here. The key is finding something that you're passionate about or something that you think you might be passionate about and going out there and serving. The actions that you do here in your local community, yes, it's impacting the community, it's impacting you, but it's also impacting the world. The more you put into it, the more you'll get out of it. So if you invest time into something that you're passionate about and something that you really like, the opportunities will start opening up, and who knows where it could lead to.
I just love all the sounds in that video. So hopefully you can see a reiteration of exactly what I've been saying, is that you can really use your service learning experiences to prepare you for careers, but also to explore careers and figure out where you want to go next. Up on the screen is that list of 8 skill sets that I mentioned that employers are looking for. And again, this is after you check the box that I have the bachelor's degree that they're asking for, then they're looking for these extra things to make you as prepared as possible for their work environments. And so you can see these up here. I encourage you to just think for a minute on each one of these of which areas might I need to improve. Do I have examples of critical thinking and problem solving? So if I was in an interview right this moment and they said, tell me about a time that you had to address an unexpected problem, and how did you do that? Do you have real examples? Do you have real examples for digital technology? Do you have real examples of leadership? And it's okay. I mean, this is the time to say, no, I don't. And to be able to pinpoint which ones don't you have real examples for. And then as you are working toward fulfilling that service learning requirement, pick opportunities that give you experiences in those skill sets. So really think about which ones don't you have, which ones are big gaping holes right now in your resume or in your interview preparation. And I realize that some of you may even be first year or second year students, and you think that is so far off, but it really will happen fast. Life happens fast. And so you want to not be stressed about it, but keep it on your mind as you get involved with RSOs, as you get involved in the community, as you work toward your service experiences. Keep this stuff on your mind. So real quickly, there are 3 ways, now that I've kind of emphasized why service learning is so important and how it can help you with your career path, you may be saying, okay, I'm sold. Give me service learning. Where do I connect? Well, you can do it in courses. So many of you may be part of a service learning course right now. But in case you weren't aware, when you look for courses every semester, you can actually look for an attribute. It's SRVC. So it's one of the attribute drop downs in the course catalog. And you can find every semester when you go to sign up for courses, you can find all the courses that integrate service learning as part of the course. So that's one option. Another option is that, as many of you know, we have a lot of registered student organizations on campus, and many of them integrate service learning into their activities on a weekly basis, if not monthly. And then independently. So we have a lot of students who say, I'm just passionate about healthcare, and so I'm going out on my own to volunteer in a clinic or at the hospital or whatever. You can see the links at the bottom there. The top link, the tinyurl.com/FGCU service opportunities, that goes right to a list of service opportunities that you can look through. That is updated daily. We have students in our office who update that daily with needs that come flooding into us from the community. So nonprofits, government agencies, they constantly contact us and say, do you have 10 students for this weekend that can come help us with this event? Do you have 20 students next Saturday that can come help us? So all of those get posted there. And then our website is that bottom link, and that has a lot of different resources. I'll say that we're actually redoing our website to make it a lot cleaner and more organized, and that will launch on February 1st. So if you go to our website and you can't find things, let us know, just give us a call. But starting February 1st, you'll see a brand new website there. And then last but not least, actually, 2 other quick things. I'll go past that real quick. If you ever need help tracking hours, we have actually 7 workshops this semester, and you can see all of those listed on our Eagle Link page. So if you're an Eagle Link and you type service learning, you can look at our page. You can see all the workshops that are listed. Those workshops help you learn how to find good community partners that align with your passions and your career interests and the skill sets that you need and all that. And then those workshops also help you learn how to track well. So we always say, don't wait to track. Make sure that you are tracking. Don't wait to engage in service learning. I'm going to hand it over here to our Director of Internships and Cooperative Programs here in just a second, Ashley. And she'll be able to talk to you about how service learning really segues very well into internships and job preparation. And so you don't want to wait to do your service learning until your senior year, because those opportunities that open in front of you while you're out doing your service learning experiences, those opportunities, you won't have time to do them before you graduate if you wait all the way until your senior year. So we really encourage first year and second year students to get all of your graduation requirement done, so that as those opportunities open up, you have a chance to dive in and you're able to take advantage of everything. And I mentioned the workshops that are listed on our homepage. So that is the full gambit for service learning. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see the chat box, or if you are able and want to unmute yourself, I'd love to open for questions. Or actually, Ashley, do you want to go, and then we'll open for questions at the end? Okay, so we'll hand it over to Ashley and hear about internships now, and how it's, like I said, the perfect segue out of service learning, and then we'll open for questions at the end.
Awesome. Thanks, Justin. And hi, everybody. My name is Ashley Droz. I am the Director of the Office of Internships and Cooperative Programs. I am really excited to see so many faces in here and so many names too. I know some of you don't have your screen turned on, but I know Justin's really excited and Rose is really excited. We're all excited that you're here. So Justin and I work together pretty much every day, and I wanted him to go first, as he mentioned, because of the segue from service learning to internships. They are so related and they help each other out so much that Justin and I are actually in the same office suite. So both the Office of Internships and Cooperative Programs and the Office of Service Learning and Civic Engagement share a hallway. Like, I could wave at Justin right now if I went out my door. And that's because we're both all day, every day working on types of experiential learning. So just as Justin said that service learning is more than just going out and volunteering, there's that learning component to it. The same thing is true with internships as well. So internships are really going out, and I'll get more into this when I pull my slides up, but you're going out and you're getting real world work experience as a student who is still learning, right? So the employer knows that you're going to be learning along with working at the same time. So I will dive more into that in a second. Some of the ways that service learning can help segue into internships. Some might be obvious, some not so much. I love that Justin talked about all the skills and the experience that you're gaining, because one, if you get to your junior or senior year and you're ready to do an internship and you feel like you don't have any experience, well, if you've already done your service learning, you actually do have experience, because that's something that can go on your resume, even though you weren't paid, right? Those skills that you were learning, the experiences that you're getting, that's something you can definitely talk to employers about while you're on your internship search. Another thing that happens when you go out in the community and you're doing your service learning is you're meeting a lot of people. So whether it's the organization you're working with, the people that you're helping, the people that you're serving alongside of, those are people who can help you find internship opportunities and job opportunities later down the line. And then we also have some students who turn their service learning opportunities into an actual internship. So we saw that video with Ricky, who was working at the Talking Monkeys project. Ricky's actually a really good example of that, because not only did he do service learning at that organization, he also worked with Habitat for Humanity as the president of our Habitat for Humanity club on campus. And he turned that into an actual internship with Habitat for Humanity of Lee and Hendry counties. So there's so many different ways that we really work together, and we're really related in terms of the stuff we talk about all day, every day. But that also means that if you have questions about any type of experiential learning, you can find me and Justin in the exact same spot. So you don't have to hunt for both of us. So Before I pull up my screen, I do have some questions for you, just like Justin did. The first one is, have any of you done an internship yet? So if you just want to give me a little reaction, that reaction button down at the bottom, I don't care which one you use. You can clap, you can send a heart, you can have a party, it doesn't matter. I'd like to see. So we've got, I see one here. Okay, so how many of you now are, okay, I saw one in the chat box too. How many of you are hoping to do an internship in the future or planning on doing one? Okay. Oh, I like getting actual hands too. That's fine. If I can see your face, I'll take an actual hand. Okay, awesome, cool. Okay, lots of thumbs up. Great. Okay, now we'll use the chat box. I would love to hear if, you know, what your initial reactions are to internships. Kind of how do you feel about them? You know, are you looking forward to them? Do they make you nervous? Tell me a little bit about that in the chat box. I got some actual emojis. I love it.
Can you see them? Okay, excited. Yeah. I think they're great preparing you, a little intimidating, nervous, nervous, exciting. I'm excited and nervous, nervous, nervous. How do I find one? Nervous. Yes. Nervous, I'm looking forward to them. Nervous, but exciting.
Awesome.
Exciting to get our feet in the door.
Yes, I love that. Okay, cool. That really helps me. Keep putting stuff in there. I'm actually gonna pull up my, oh, we're still getting some, it's great. Don't know if I have enough time. Okay, we'll talk about that stuff too. Okay, this is really helpful for me to know kind of where you're at, if you've done an internship, if you're looking to do one in the future, and how you're feeling about it, because I'm gonna try also to give you some information, but make you feel a lot better if you're one of those people who are nervous. So give me 1 second and I will pull up my presentation. Let's see here. Okay, can you see it so far? I'm having some issues with it, it looks like. Okay, can everybody see my screen? Looks okay, all right. Oops, it's like way ahead. Sorry guys, let me go back. There we go, okay. More thumbs up, here we go. Okay, all right, so my part of the presentation, I'm calling Internships, Putting Your Education to Work. And that is really because an internship is really, it's more than a part-time job. Okay, I do get this question a lot. I have a part-time job, can I use that as an internship? But it's actually more than that because it's your opportunity to learn through experience. Again, that's why we call our part of our department experiential learning. So some of the like cornerstones, key things that you're going to be looking for in differentiating an internship from a part-time job is that the first thing you want to do is be able to apply your academic knowledge in a professional setting. So we're really taking the learning experience outside the four walls of the classroom, right? You spend lots of times reading textbooks, in lectures, studying for tests, writing papers, doing research in the classroom, that kind of stuff. And this is really your opportunity to take everything that you've learned through those experiences and go out and actually put it to work in the real world, okay? And with that, not only are you taking your skills and knowledge and abilities from your classroom and taking it out into a workplace setting, but you're also gaining and developing those real world skills out there in that site too. An internship should not follow necessarily the bad rap that they sometimes get in terms of grabbing coffee or pushing paper, picking up dry cleaning, right? That's not an internship, that's a personal assistant. So what we're really looking for is a little bit more of like the hands-on projects, right? So let's say that you're a PR major or PR concentration, communication major, and you are gonna take a PR internship. You should be working on campaigns. You should actually be, you know, setting up social media plans. You should be interacting with some clients. Now, it might start out a little bit slower and you work your way up to that, but you should definitely be getting some projects and some real world exposure in your actual field, not just grabbing coffee for the people who are doing that, right? The other thing that really helps differentiate an internship is there are going to be some learning objectives. So just like when you're in a class on campus or, you know, through FGCU, on your syllabus, one of the first things you're going to see are the learning outcomes. You're going to see what you should be able to do by the end of this class. The same thing is true for your internship experience. And I know on a syllabus, sometimes we're like, okay, yeah, I got to read the syllabus, a little boring, whatever, right? But this should be an exciting thing for you because you actually get to work together with your employer, with your supervisor to let them know the experiences that you are looking to get and the things that are going to line up with your professional and your academic goals. So you might get some say in what you're going to end up learning. Your employer should definitely want to learn more about you and how they can really help you achieve the things you want to achieve. You're not just filling a role at an organization where you get a checklist of things that you're supposed to do every day and accomplish those. You actually have some say into what you're going to learn as well. Okay. You should also be working under the supervision of an experienced professional. And so this is one that even employers get a little mixed up on sometimes, where you should have a supervisor who is already experienced and a great kind of mentor or resource for you in the actual field that you are working in your internship. So sometimes we'll get an employer who calls and says, hey, I'm looking for a social media intern. And I'll say, great. I want to make sure that you have the supervisor you need if you were going to be the intern there. So I say, who currently does social media at your organization? And if they say nobody, that's why we need an intern, that's part-time job or somebody that they should hire out, right? They should be able to tell me and tell you, this is who does our social media. Here's the experience that they have, and here's how they're going to be a great mentor to our intern, right? So you shouldn't just be, again, filling a role and taking over part of a job that some, full-time paid employee should be doing. You should be learning from that full-time employee who does this for a living. Okay. And then the last one is that it should be known with both the employer and, for you, that you should have the opportunity to explore and prepare for your intended career path. So an internship is, it's not something that's an infinite opportunity, right? It's usually a finite set time where you'll be there for a couple months, for a semester. You might get an extension on it, right? But it should be known on both parties that you're exploring your career and you're seeing if this is actually something that you really want to do. So just as Justin talked about education and how you might end up getting, doing some service learning hours in a classroom and decide, wow, this is for me, or maybe it's not for me. The same thing can definitely happen in an internship. It's your way of kind of trying it out before you graduate, and all of a sudden 40 hours a week and your mortgage depends on it and you need benefits and all this stuff, right? It's your way to try it out before you get there. Okay. So that's just a little bit of a background on what internships are and how they differ from a part-time job. This should be something that hopefully makes those of you who said you're nervous a little less nervous, because one of the key components of an internship is that you are still learning. So I hear a lot of students come in and say, well, I don't think I'm ready for an internship because I don't know how to do this or this or this yet, or I don't have experience in my field yet. And that's okay, because the very foundation of an internship is that you are learning about your field and you're gaining skills while you're there. So by the time that you end up finishing your internship, you're going to feel much more experienced than when you started. And employers should know that. Okay. So hopefully that makes you a little less nervous. I do have some internship quick facts for you. And these are things that I generally get a lot of questions about. So I just want to see if these will help you out at all. So you might hear the difference between an academic and a non-academic internship. An academic internship just basically means that we have classes here on campus that you can take alongside your internship. They have to be taken concurrently at the same time, where you can earn academic credit towards your degree while you are in your internship. I teach some internship classes on campus. I have the university-wide ones. We have some internship coordinators and some internship faculty across campus who also teach them. But basically, if you end up taking a class with your internship, it's something that's going to give you some structure. You're going to have to get some evaluations, set some goals with your employer, do some reflections, that type of thing. But it can be a really great way to not only get experience before you graduate, but also get closer to graduation. A non-academic internship is just the opposite. You have the same internship opportunity, but you might choose not to take a class with it or not to earn credit with it. Both are totally fine, okay? When it comes to academic internships, some of you might have required internships in your major. Definitely check your curriculum map and your program requirements to see, where that falls and if you have one. If you aren't sure, you can always talk to your academic advisor, or you can contact my office and we'll let you know. If you don't have a required internship for graduation, then you can potentially take some internship classes for elective credit to help you reach that 120. Okay, you also want to check in with an advisor to see if you have that room to do that. Yes, there are both paid and unpaid internships. One is not necessarily better than the other in terms of the experience that you get. However, we are fully aware that it is much better for you to get paid and oftentimes helps you out a lot, right? But an unpaid internship can often pay off, greater down the line. So just because you aren't getting financial compensation now doesn't mean it won't make up for it later when you get hired at a higher salary for having an experience already. But we do encourage all of our employers to pay their interns when possible. So if that's something that's of concern to you, know that there are paid internships out there too. Okay. An internship is typically about 10 to 24 hours a week. Anything over 24 hours, we like to call a little bit closer to a cooperative program because it's closer to that 40 hours a week. But that's what you can hopefully plan for internship wise as you're working it into your schedule. The typical duration, a lot of our employers like to work internships along with the semester schedule, but not all of them do. Know that if you want to take a class and it doesn't perfectly line up with the semester schedule, we have some solutions for that. So just let us know. But as I said, some employers can definitely extend your internship offer to another semester. And sometimes some of our students, they'll get an offer to do an internship for another semester. At the end of that internship, they get a full-time job offer, which is pretty cool. So typical timeline, a lot of students do their internships in their junior and senior years. I will say some do them earlier if they feel ready for it. I'm happy to have those conversations. We have had some sophomores do some internships. I generally like to encourage students to at least start looking into it and thinking about doing one their junior year. Because imagine if one internship when you graduate helps you get a better job or find one more easily. Imagine how having 2 internships could look, or more internships, right? So if you start in junior year, that gives you the opportunity to build on that and use your first internship experience to get another one later down the line. I actually just had a student who graduated in December and she did 5 internships, which was awesome. And she had room in her schedule to do that. But let me tell you, she's going to be highly employable by the time she gets out. Now, I don't want you to feel pressure to do 5, but just know if 1 is good, 2 might be better. So if you get started in junior year, you might have the opportunity to do another one over summer or senior year as well. Okay. And then the last one, if you do want to take a class along with your academic internship, there are courses offered across the campus fall, spring, and summer semesters. So if you find summer is an easier time for you to get your internship, internship hours in, there are classes available then. Okay. And these pictures on the side are students actually interning in different environments. So as we go through, they are FGCU students in all of these. Okay. I am going to switch a little bit to like why we do internships and what the benefits of doing internships are. The first thing I want to bring up is what's called, out there in the internet basically as the fresh grad dilemma. Okay. And this is when students graduate, sometimes you'll see some memes or some people talking about this, whether they're serious or they think it's funny, right? Where they find themselves thinking, I need experience to get a job, but I need a job to get experience. Now, it's funny when you see it in a meme. It's not so funny when you find yourself in this spot, right? So internships are something that can help break this cycle. Because if you feel like you don't want to graduate without experience, things like service learning, internships, all kinds of different things that you're doing can actually help you get that experience to get you a job where you totally break out of this whole vicious cycle here, okay? So that's the number one benefit of internships is that you don't graduate without experience. You have plenty to talk about and plenty on your resume, okay? So some of the other benefits, and this is like my sales pitch, right? Justin was like, oh, I'm totally in when it comes to service learning. How do I do it? This is how I'm going to get you to be totally in on internships right here. Because this list that I have here is really not an exhaustive list. There are so many benefits. I could talk for the next half an hour on the benefits of internships, but I will go through these fairly quickly so we have time for questions, but just to get you on board. So remember too that your career is one part of your entire life. So generally something that can benefit your career will benefit kind of your whole life in general. So one of the first things here, of course, I've said a million times that you'll have work experience, but I don't just mean that you have your resume full, right? You also have what Justin mentioned earlier. You have things to talk about in interviews. So if somebody says, tell me about a time when you overcame an obstacle, you'll be able to tell them a real world work experience about a time that you did that. Okay. You'll also be able to have a foundation to build off of. So it'll be just one stepping stone as you go up and get more and more and more experience. But you can't have this amazing experience up here if you don't build up to it, right? So that helps out that way too. We already talked about exploration. Skill development, I'm so glad that Justin put up the 8 competencies, because that's another focus that we have here. Not only are you going to be learning job specific skills to what you're hoping to do career wise, but all of those competencies that he brought up that employers are looking for, those career readiness competencies, are all things that you're going to be learning in your internship, as well as a million other skills as you go through. Okay. The competitive edge is another one. If you have internships on your resume or in your past, you are going to be miles ahead of somebody graduating with the exact same degree who does not have an internship, right? It's going to help you stand out above the rest of the candidates for whatever jobs you're applying for after graduation, and make you more competitive, in the long run. So you're probably more likely to be kind of pushed to that interview stage, and then hopefully be able to secure a more competitive job. Okay. The same thing across campus. I'll say this too. If you have a required internship in your major, that's awesome. I love that for you, because that means that you're going to get that experience with your degree. But if you are in a major that doesn't require an internship, I highly recommend you take advantage of the opportunity to engage in one. Because if you are, say, competing for jobs against other people in your major who didn't do one, you have the same degree, but you're going to have more to bring to the table. Okay, so consider adding that into your academic plan. Networking connections is a huge one. And remember too, that you're not just going to be networking with people at your internship site, but oftentimes they'll have clients, customers, so many other people coming in and out of your experience that you'll want to put your most professional foot forward. And I can't tell you how many times students get job offers during their internship, not from their internship employer, but from other people they've come into contact with. This actually happens a lot. A good example of this is the PGA golf management students. They often get job offers from the people playing golf at their internship sites. So that can happen across the board for a lot of majors. So keep that in mind. Okay. Professional confidence is a huge one. I am so lucky to get to actually see this play out in my internship courses. So I have reflection papers, and in the first reflection paper, I often hear, I'm so concerned, I don't know how to do this, I'm really nervous about my first day, my first week, I don't know anybody, right? And I can put it next to the final reflection paper where they almost always say, I feel so much more confident. I can't believe I didn't think I could do this, right? They get there and they're like, I have so many skills. I have things to talk about in interviews. I have stuff on my resume. I really wowed my employer. This went so well. They want to hire me, right? It's a complete 180 from the lack of confidence that a lot of students feel at the beginning of an internship, okay? And then we talked about compensation. Of course, you can get financial compensation, but in other ways without that, you can potentially get a lot more beyond just a paycheck. Okay. And of course, job offers. I already mentioned that it doesn't always even come from your internship employer, but a lot of times job offers can come from either your supervisor or your employing organization, or from clients or other people that you come in contact with. Okay. I do want to get to our questions, but I will just give you a brief overview. If you're starting to look for internships, the first thing I want to tell you is there are resources for you on campus. So not just my office, but there are internship coordinators throughout the university, but you can always come to me if you're like, I don't even know where to begin. But just to give you some really quick ideas, I generally narrow it down to, or organize my thoughts, I guess, into 3 different ways you can start to look for internship opportunities. Even if you're not actively looking now, I suggest that you maybe start talking to people or using some of these to get an idea of what's out there, okay? So the first one, and Rose's office is just killing it with this, right? Rose and Mary, is the kind of the traditional way we think of looking for opportunities. And that's things like job boards and career fairs, career events, career development services. I mean, it's a huge part of their mission to connect you to employers and to connect you with opportunities. And so attending their career fairs, attending their events is an excellent way to know that there are going to be employers there that you can talk to. Eagle Career Network, formerly Eagle Career Link, is actually housed in our offices as well. And so if you haven't been on there yet, that's basically FGCU's career management or job board site. So any employer who comes to us on campus and says, I want to hire students, this is where they post their jobs. So you can go in there and know that they're looking for FGCU students like you. Okay. But there are two other ways that I like to encourage people to look into getting internship opportunities. The first is your network and your connections. So yes, it's a lot about who you know, but so many internship opportunities come from your professional and your personal connections. So start talking to people about what you might be looking for. Start going out and meeting people now, because you never know where that can lead. And when I say in personal connections, that means your family, your friends, your Greek organization, whatever it is, your clubs on campus, your professors, start talking to everybody about what you're looking for, and make sure that you tap those connections or you explore those connections when you're starting to look for opportunities. And then the last one down here, I could go on and on and on about, but just know that if there's no connection to an organization or they don't have a posting, that's not always a problem, because you can research different employers that you might want to look for or that work for or intern with, and you can actually reach out to them, send your resume, let them know what you're looking for. The worst they can say is no when you're in exactly the same place, but just because there's no posting or connection doesn't mean that there's no opportunity there. It just might not be out there for everyone to see. Okay. So that's my quick spiel. I do want to save some time for questions, so I'll just leave this up for a second. I'm the director of this office, but we also have, she needs to be updated. She's our administrative specialist now, but Francine St. Thomas is somebody who will often answer a lot of your questions via email or when you come in. Our email address is up here, icp@fgcu.edu. So if you ever want to meet with me, or if you want to ask a question we don't get to today, you can always email us or come in and see us. We're in McTarnigan 229, same as service learning. So
thank you, Ashley. Wonderful. This is great. All right. So why don't we take questions now? It would be, you can either unmute yourself one at a time, or you can type it into the chat. I guess if it gets a little too much, we'll just go to chat, but let's see if we can kind of manage it both ways. Does anyone want to start with some questions for Ashley or Justin?
Oh, I see some hands.
Okay. Oh, okay. Let's go with Gabriella first.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
I have a quick question. I am a senior, probably graduating in December or maybe like spring 2022. So I'm not sure if I still have time to do an internship. And I'm kind of nervous about that because I would like to do one to have that experience, because I want to go into the business world. So
Great.
Yes, definitely. So I would say it's never too late to start looking into it. I even have students who do an internship in their very last semester, and I would say as early as you can start looking, the better. But I would say no matter where you're at, you can always start looking for internship opportunities. One of the things that I would recommend that you do even today is just start to browse through what's on Eagle Career Network to get some ideas of what employers are reaching out to us with, like which opportunities. And then also, if you want to ever meet or anything like that, I can get you connected to your internship coordinator. Are you in a business major?
yes,
Okay.
I'm into management.
Perfect. Yeah. So you actually have a corporate programs coordinator and a professional development coordinator within your college, Tafara Pardue. And a lot of you throughout, all of you in the audience might have somebody within your college or in your major that you can talk to. But Gabriella, we can get you connected with Tafara, and she is very well connected with a lot of employers so that we can help you along that internship search, and hopefully make you feel, get you feeling a little less nervous about it because you have somebody here to help you through it. But yeah, you can definitely still look into it.
Thank you so much. I will contact you.
Yeah, perfect.
What else do we have?
I see that question was echoed in the chat too. So
Yes.
for that question, me too. So Gabriella, you're not alone.
I was gonna say it's never too late, especially because it's going to benefit. It could slide right into a job upon graduation. So it could actually be very strategic timing to leave it to the end.
Mm-hmm.
What else do we have? Questions? I have a question. What is the biggest nugget that everybody has taken away from this this workshop. If you want to type that in the chat, if you feel like it's something that we should hear, I would love to hear what is the biggest takeaway that you just learned, because I feel like it's really important that we're getting you the right information. Great. How service learning can help us network.
Yeah.
Caitlin, yes, please unmute yourself or type it, whichever.
Hi. So I'm completing an internship currently through the criminal justice program. But if I wanted to do like another internship for fun over the summer, do I need to go through my coordinator or can I just do it with a partner?
Yeah, so I would definitely check in with Miranda, but I will say that if you've completed your academic requirement for your major, that you should hopefully feel free to go out and continue looking for opportunities without having to take a course. If you also do want to take a course and you have an elective credit, I do teach a university-wide class, so we could explore that as well. But I would say feel free to go out and look for an internship opportunity on your own if you want to. We would love for you to still record it in Eagle Career Network and get those hours verified so that you can print out your co-curricular transcript and have kind of proof that you did those hours, even if it's not on your academic transcript. But yeah, absolutely. You can for sure do another one if you want.
Okay, and is there like a recommended amount of hours for that or not really?
Yeah, if you're not necessarily doing it for credit, there won't be an hours requirement from us to consider it. We generally say 45 hours or more for a non-academic internship, but if it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with your degree requirements, you can kind of come to that agreement with your employer.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I want to add too that remember there's a little bit of power in a non-paid, non-credit internship because you're in control of sort of calling the shots on some of the things to make sure that you're focusing on some of the key skills that you want to learn. So for instance, Caitlin, you already did a criminal and justice one, and you're trying to sort of either diversify your skills or increase your skills. You might be able to have a little more say potentially in the opportunity of what you want to spend your time doing. So that's something to consider as well. Take it from me, I did 4 undergraduate internships, mostly because I didn't like each of the things that I was doing and realized I needed to move on to another thing.
Yeah, I did 2 undergraduate internships and 4 graduate assistantship internships. So,
yes.
Yeah.
So as much of the yeses you find out also through the no's, right? Any other questions? Well, you guys have been great. Thanks for turning on your cameras. Thanks for being really engaged. I appreciate your time.